I don't necessarily think so. No, I think there's obviously still some room for Labour to improve their standing in the polls. There's a couple of ways that they could do that. Firstly, the data shows that there's a lot of voters they can squeeze back. So there's quite a few people who say that they'd prefer a Labour government to a Conservative government still. But at the moment, they'll say, actually, we'll vote for the Green Party, and Labour can squeeze those voters back. But more importantly, I think, for the Labour Party, if they want to get those poll leads quite large and consistently large, which they'll need if they want to form a majority at the next election, then they need to start mitigating against some of their key weaknesses. So there's a couple of crucial ones, I think. Firstly, they're not seen as being, they haven't rebuilt their reputation for being economically competent, for being trusted to run the economy well. I actually think there's a good opportunity for them to do that over the coming months, which I'm sure we can talk about. But I think the other thing as well is there's question marks in a lot of voters' minds about whether Keir Starmer is strong enough to take on that top job, and he needs to start building up a reputation and proving to voters that he is.
In your experience, Chris, how much of people's kind of opinions on voting for a particular party is down to the party and its policies, and how much of it's actually down to the leadership itself?
Well, I think the general view is that that the leader is becoming a lot more important in how people's voting intentions, how people decide how to vote in elections, and ultimately, I would argue it is now the most important thing. The thing I would say as well that I think feeds into this argument quite a lot is voters are increasingly volatile. Increasingly promiscuous is probably the best word for it. Obviously, we're not that far away from a pretty big landslide Conservative victory just 2 years ago. And that's shifted really dramatically. Sure, the polls might only show a 5% Labour lead today, but that's very, very, very different to the 12 points ahead that the Conservatives were at the last election. So we do see these really big swings to and from the political parties. Obviously, that means when the Conservatives are having a bad day, you can see big shifts in one direction. But also it means that a really bad situation for the Prime Minister, he's able to come back from that a lot better than he would have been able to in the past. And that's important because his approval ratings right now are looking pretty bad indeed.